spiritual law of pendulum, meditation, nature of mind, and little bit of feminism too. So our theme is going to revolve around these topics, and I'm going to integrate all these topics here together in this video and build one idea that I want to really speak upon, that is spiritual law of pendulum. So it has been my observation, on the nature of the mind, right? And I have, you know, gone through situations and I've observed this and hence formed this idea. So let me just discuss about it. So before starting it, let's just imagine a pendulum. What a pendulum does. So there is just one hand in the middle. A pendulum hand is hanging around in the middle, and it goes sideways. It takes the extreme sides. Okay, it swings in the extreme sides until it slowly and gradually stops and comes in the middle again. That's exactly the picture of a pendulum, right? It swings on the extreme sides and then gradually and slowly it comes in the middle. And that's exactly how a meditative mind works. That's exactly how an action should be taken. An action should be taken when you are in the middle, when you've achieved the core, when you've achieved the middle, and that is the purest mind, that can achieve the middle, that can achieve the core. Okay, so let me discuss around it. So the very first example I'm going to take is attachment. Okay, so let's say you went and you went through a video which talks about detachment. Okay, and now suddenly your mind picks up detachment, okay, as a concept, as a theme. So what your mind is going to think, because your mind is quite rigid. Okay, mind की quality है, एक devolving mind की quality है that it will fall further down and down and down. Okay, that is the quality of a devolving mind, that it will go rigid more and more and more. Ego is the very rigid mind. Okay, ego is the very rigid mind. All right, a healthy mind is a vast mind, is a narrow mind. Broad mind is a healthy mind. Okay, narrow mindedness is further a symbol of devolution of a human being rather than evolution of a human being. So now you picked up a new theme, detachment, and now you think that it is exactly opposite to attachment. Okay, attachment was, when you are around people, that is attachment. When you are around when you are around when you are around your friends or family members, and you pick that up as attachment. So what is attachment going to be when you're not around them, when you are detached from them? That's when spirituality went all wrong. People thought that since staying with these people I will feel the attachment, so what I will do is I will go to a mountain, sit there and detach myself, and that's how I will get liberated after death. So that's what people did, took very extreme form. So attachment is with people and they thought attachment is without people. Okay, but what is the middle path? The middle path is that being around people, okay, being with your loved ones and still being detached. Being detached means what? Being not influenced by them. You not being shaken by your core just because somebody of your family, of your loved ones, they think a certain way, so you also start thinking a certain way. You also start doing things a certain way as people around you. That is attachment. Okay, attachment means that आप एक्शन ले रहे हो attachment की वजह से. ठीक है, आप वैसे ही सोचना एकदम आप उनको क्वेश्चन ही नहीं कर रहे हो. यू आर नॉट क्वेश्चनिंग पीपल अराउंड यू. ओके, यू आर नॉट क्वेश्चनिंग द पीपल अराउंड you that are there. You you have identified yourself as your community, you know. आप कभी देखना, इवन जेलेसी भी आप देखना, हमेशा जो जेलेसी होती है ना, वो भी आप देखोगे फ्रेंड्स में, या फिर जो बहुत पास के लोगों में होती है ना. मतलब जो आपके कज़न से किया जाएगा आपको कंपेयर, आप अपने कज़न से फील कर सकते हो जेलस, अपने फ्रेंड से. कोई टाटा बिरला से नहीं कर रहा यार कंपैरिजन आपका, कोई बिल गेट से नहीं कर रहा कंपैरिजन आपका. कंपैरिजन होना चाहिए, सबसे होना चाहिए, बट नो, यू विल ऑलवेज find yourself comparing yourself in your community, in your, you know, the circle that you have, you know. And everyone will do that, it's just not you. So that's the whole point that I want to make here, you know. For example, let's say you read a book and that talked about that, you know, fear is a lower frequency, so you should not stay on that, you know, lower frequency. So what you will do, you will think that okay, fear is a lower frequency, I will not fear now. Okay, I will not feel my fear now, मैं fear करूँगा ही नहीं. Okay, is that really in your control? Just check once, is it really in your control? You not feeling fear, is it really in your control? So now what you've done is you have taken an extreme form. Okay, that an extreme, you will always distract yourself whenever you're feeling fear. Okay, and you will not even let yourself know about it. You will trick your mind into, you know, distracting yourself. You will trick your mind. Okay, and you will say I will not feel fear. Okay, and you might suppress your fear, you might suppress certain emotions in you. Here let me discuss one more. There is one more amazing avoidance style. Okay, I was just reading about relationships, love relationships, और आप इसको friendships में भी apply कर सकते हो. It's not completely love relationships, but there are certain people, you know, who will avoid, you know, people they are very attached to. Okay, and because they think that is a kind of a detachment. Okay, that since you are very attached to them, so what do? You detach yourself from them, you move away from them. Spirituality में भी तो ऐसे सिखाया गया ना, you know, real spirituality comes when you detach yourself. So you go to a mountain and do your things. No, it doesn't happen like that. So एक avoidant style भी होता है, you know, that many people have, many men and women have, you know, in relationships. They kind of avoid the person they are very attached to, they feel a lot of attachment to, you know. Why this happens? Because हमारा mind दो extremes ही जानता है. माइंड के बॉक्सेस बने, अटैचमेंट मतलब विद पीपल, डिटैचमेंट मतलब विदाउट पीपल, फीलिंग फियर मतलब फीलिंग फियर. अब फीलिंग फियर हमें नहीं करना है क्योंकि लो फ्रिक्वेंसी है, तो क्या करो, नॉट फीलिंग फियर. ओके, ये दोनों एक्सट्रीम फॉर्म्स हैं. अब मिडिल फॉर्म क्या है, मिडिल पाथ क्या है? मिडिल पाथ इज being with people, being around people, but not, you know, acting around because of them. You act because you want to act a certain way. It's your calling inside yourself. It has nothing to do with the other person. Okay, so that is being amongst people and yet be so connected to God, yet be so connected to your own soul, to your own higher self. That is what I would call a middle path, you know, that your two extreme pendulums have reached the middle. Can you really not feel fear? Can you really control that part? You cannot control that part. You cannot control your feelings and emotions. I have done a video on that. You can go and check that out. You should not judge your feelings and emotions. You should just let them. Here, the feminine has to step in and let, you know, you yourself flow with your feelings and emotions. So you cannot control your feelings and emotions. It's so necessary to understand what you can control and what you cannot control. You cannot control your feelings and emotions, my dear. So feeling fear, okay, and yet feeling fear and yet acting. Okay, acting, you know, जैसे आप फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपको जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल अर्जुना, okay, in Mahabharata, Arjuna was feeling so much fear that he didn't wanted to act. Okay, so Krishna gave him all the Bhagavad Gita lessons and stuff like that, and then what? He was still feeling the fear. There was still, I mean, of course, maybe Krishna gave him temporary relief, okay? But what would be the middle path? Middle path would be to still feel the fear. It's okay to feel the fear because you cannot control that, but still acting not out of fear, okay? Still doing what you want to do, still doing what you always want to do, okay? That's exactly how paragliding works. You paraglide, you still feel the fear, okay, but you still paraglide, right? you know so you are still not acting out of fear, okay. I'm not saying go and paraglide, okay, but रियल लाइफ सिचुएशंस में आओ, ओके, रियल लाइफ सिचुएशंस में जहाँ आपको डर लग रहा है, जहाँ आपको फियर लग रहा है, ट्राई गो एंड फेस दैम, ओके, irrespective of what you're feeling. It's completely okay to feel fear. You don't have to shut that off, you don't have to suppress it. It's completely okay to feel the fear and yet do what your soul wants to do, okay. Now let's come to the third part, and that part is feminism. So jab feminism started very, in the beginning, it was more about, voting rights. Women were happy, they wanted voting rights and stuff. There were three waves of feminism that happened. So the very first thing that happened and how it started was voting rights. So women started to think we need voting rights and stuff like that, and things happened that way. Then over the years and centuries, it took many extreme forms. The movement took many extreme forms, okay. What kind of extreme forms did it take? For example, somewhere in between, it also became about feminism became about anti-men, okay. Anti-men, completely anti-men, means men are bad, men are this, that, all sorts of things. We just recently, somebody sent me a Twitter sharing of someone, and my friend shared me a Twitter sharing of a girl, random girl, and she wrote, after that Kolkata rape murder case, she wrote that I don't think so I can trust any man out there on the planet, okay. And I mean, it was little, yeah, it was not these exact words, it was a little rough, and just she just made it like a statement to every guy on the planet. And then he told me, like, do you think it is like, I mean, do you think it is like, is she right in here that she wrote something like this? I said that she is not right, of course, but she is angry, and her anger is totally legitimate. You know, she is definitely not right. Not all men and guys are like that on the planet, but she expressing what she is expressing. She is expressing in anger, and her anger is completely legitimate because of it has been literally this thing has been on my mind also for a few days, and it's completely I've not been able to meditate like the way I do, because this is really a very sad and painful thing that happened. Like, the more I read about it, the more I feel like I can't read anymore because it's just too much to take. So yeah, I was coming on feminism basically. So feminism ने एक form ये भी ली थी कि it became completely anti-men, okay. But what is the middle path, okay. And even feminism also took a form of clothing, okay. For I think it was in USA, it was in United States, yeah. Yeah, it was in United States that there was a certain kind of clothing that came up. So short skirts and stuff like that, they started coming up because women had voting rights now and stuff like that. So They were, their clothing had completely changed and modified, and they were wearing short clothes, very sexually appealing clothes, very bold clothes they started to wear. And it was, it's like women were enjoying the kind of freedom, and through clothes and stuff like that. Okay. But of course, I mean, um, so of course it has taken various forms over the centuries, over the years it has taken many forms. Okay, as we go by. But but what has been really the middle path, if you see, if you what has really been the middle path? Feminism is just not about women. Feminism is also about men. you know I mean, if you do not if you will not think that women are for cooking, if you think that women are not for reproducing, if you think that women are not, weaker in some ways, they might be physically weaker, but they have other kinds of strengths. It's just our mind is too rigid to think that when we say strength, the very first thing we're going to think about is strength of the body. There are whole other kinds of parameters of strength, but our mind has become so rigid. How they used to check us, using a test called IQ, intelligence quotient, I guess. But what about EQ, emotional quotient? you know Men are very weak when it comes to emotional quotient. I'm not saying all men, but majorly if you look at, then they're quite weak at that point. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. And what I'm trying to say here is that feminism, the middle path, if you have to look at the pendulum, the middle path of feminism would be to, feminism is about men and women both. Why? Because if you will not think that women are for reproducing, if you will not think that women are for cooking at homes, if you will not think that women are weak, then what will happen is the other will also become true. What is the other? The other is that you will think that men are also, men can also cook, men can also men can also dance. So I was going through a Facebook video the other day, and that person was, saying that he wanted to learn Bharatanatyam and stuff like that. So he is very fond of Indian, dancing and stuff, like Indian dance, folk dance and stuff like that. And he said that people used to make fun of me. They would say, and it's quite long years back, maybe things have changed now a little bit, but people used to make fun of him, the why you're into dancing, you're dancing like a girl, you stuff like that, and all of sorts of things. And he said that he's just fond of, you know so there are men who like to cook, there are men who like to go to, maybe become chefs, in restaurants and stuff like that. So if you look at, the earlier chefs, they found it little difficult, to find their journey, because usually we associate cooking with women. Okay, so when really feminism happens, it is real feminism happens, it is also going to support men in many ways. Because अगर stereotypes women के लिए बनाए गए हैं, like cooking, reproducing, then stereotypes women के लिए बनाए गए हैं, तो stereotypes men के लिए भी बनाए गए हैं, right? That the like you will go out and do all the stuff, woman's gonna cook and stuff like that, तो जब कोई women को stereotype से free करेगा, then the men are also going to be free of the stereotypes, right? So that's exactly my point. Okay, I mean, feminism is for both men and women. Okay, whenever rapes happen, I know there are men who also feel angry, who also feel bad about it, and they also feel more protected about their own, daughters, their own wives, mothers, in some sense. So their friends. It so feminism is actually about both men and women. It's not being anti-men. तो एक So that is exactly what I'm trying to say here. Whenever one thing appears, the very first thing we think of it is in a very rigid manner. We think that is going to be on the other side of the pendulum. So, good, that means evil. Okay? But they all exist, in us. There is just not, you know, one way of seeing things. It is not very rigid. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say here. I've just drawn a picture also. If you want to have a look at it, you know how it is. But I think it is mirroring and you can't really see it. You can't really see it, right? You will see the inverted image. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. Let's just not discuss. But yeah, that's exactly what I want to discuss through this spiritual law of pendulums. I have also, observed this in my life that, whenever we learn something new, then what do I do is I took up a new extreme, to that. But it's really in the middle somewhere. Okay, the truth always lies in the middle. The right kind of appropriate kind of things always lie somewhere in the middle. So yeah, that has been my experience on my spiritual journey. So really wanted to share this up with you all. How we take up extremes and slowly and gradually we balance it out and we find a middle path, and that's exactly what the right way to go on to. Thank you.